Hello, my name is Jana. I work at the Early Childhood Innovation Center, University of Missouri, Kansas City. Thank you for considering participating in our Early Childhood Mental Health Collective research. In this video, I will review the consent form that you must sign to allow us to include your family's data in our study. We want to ensure that you understand all of the information we are providing. I will read the form as it is presented to you on a paper copy. Let's begin. Consent to participate in research for caregivers or families. Study title: Early Childhood Mental Health Collective. Authorized study personnel: Principal Investigator Dr. George Gatto. Office phone number 816-235-5334. Secondary investigators, research staff: Dr. Ryan Ballou, Nicholas Bollinger, Dr. Dawa Yongzong, Dr. Rumpasi Sukantaman, and Maya Shafranitz. Key personnel: Susan Smith. Research support: Slajana Bauk. Key information: you are being asked to take part in this research study because your child or your children are enrolled in one of 5 Kansas City child care centers that are participating in this study. Research studies are voluntary and only include people who choose to take part. The purpose of this research is to evaluate a new project to improve the availability of behavioral and mental health services for children, families, and staff who need them. The project is part of a larger effort called Anchors of Tomorrow to improve outcomes in 5 child care centers in Kansas City. Your child care center is participating in the study. The total amount of time you would be in this study is approximately 20 minutes each year to answer a questionnaire. This questionnaire is a routine activity at your child's child care center. The total amount of time your child would be in this study is approximately 1.5 to 3 hours to participate in your child care center's series of routine child assessments. These assessments are made during regular class time and involve observations of children by the teachers. The children will be engaged in regularly scheduled child care center activities for these assessments. Your child will not be removed from the classroom for the teacher or staff to conduct the assessments. Your and your child's personal identifiable information will not be known by the UMKC research team. The questionnaires you complete will be identified by the UMKC research team only by the ID number provided to you by your child's child care center. No risks or discomforts beyond that of everyday interactions are expected due to your participation in this research. There are no benefits to you for taking part in this study. You have the alternative of not taking part in this study. Your participation is entirely voluntary. Your decision to participate or to decline participation will have no effect on the child care services provided to you or your child, your relationship with your child's child care center, or your relationship with UMKC. Please listen to this consent form carefully and take your time making your decision. As the researcher discusses this consent form with you, please ask him or her to explain any words or information you do not clearly understand. To help in your decision-making process, you may wish to talk with your family and/or friends before you decide to take part in this research study. The nature of the study, risks, Inconveniences, discomforts, and other important information about the study are listed below. Dr. George Gatto will conduct the study, and it is funded by the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation. The sponsor of the study, the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, will pay the University of Missouri Kansas City (UMKC) to perform this research, and these funds may pay part of Dr. Gatto's salary. Why is this study being done? The purpose of this study is to evaluate a new project to improve the availability of behavioral and mental health services for children, families, and staff who need them. This project is part of a larger effort called Anchors of Tomorrow to improve outcomes in 5 childcare centers in Kansas City. Your childcare center is participating in this 3-year study. We are interested in learning about the effects or potential benefits of the program for you and for the participating children, families, and staff. You are being asked to be in this study because your child is enrolled at one of 5 childcare centers in Kansas City that are participating in this study. You must be 19 years of age or older to participate. How many people will take part in this study? Approximately 1,000 children and adults are expected to take part in this study at UMKC. What is involved in the study? You may be asked to complete one questionnaire about you and your child every year, or your child is enrolled at the child care center until the study is completed. Social emotional evaluation assessment measure, SEAM parent profile, takes about 20 minutes to complete. With your permission, the UMKC research team will be gathering data about your child's social and emotional development from the staff in your center. Your child care center may conduct these assessments 2 or 3 times per year to gauge your child's progress. These assessments might include Ages and Stages questionnaire, takes between 10 to 15 minutes. The Baru Early Childhood Assessment for infants and toddlers takes 3 to 10 minutes. Desired Results Developmental Profile takes 10 to 20 minutes, and/or Child Observation Record takes 10 to 15 minutes, and Social Emotional Evaluation Assessment Measure takes 15 to 20 minutes. All of these observational assessments are conducted during typical activities and would not interrupt your child's regular play or learning. Children would not be taken to another room for assessment. We expect no additional risk in conducting this study as compared to the risks of the other activities in your child's everyday life. If your child receives therapeutic services, the mental health provider may make notes or collect other information, but those notes or other information would not be included as part of the evaluation study conducted by UMKC. How long will I be in this study? This study will last 3 years. You may be asked to complete one questionnaire each year during the study. Your child will be in the study until he or she was no longer enrolled in the participating child care center. What are the risks of the study? No risks or discomforts beyond that of everyday work interactions are expected due to your child's participation in this research. This research presents a risk of loss of confidentiality, emotional and/or psychological distress, because the surveys involve sensitive questions about you and your child. You may refuse to answer any of the survey questions. You may stop participating in this study at any time. Are there benefits to taking part in the study? You may not get any benefits from being in this research study, although there may not be direct benefits for you. Your participation may contribute to improving early childhood services for other children, families, or communities. The benefits to science and our society may include better understanding of how providing behavioral or mental health services to children, families, or staff that need them may improve outcomes in child care centers in Kansas City. Will my information be kept confidential? The University of Missouri Authorization Number 00018 requires research data to be retained for 7 years after the final report. Reasonable steps will not be taken to protect your privacy and the confidentiality of your study data. The data will be stored electronically through a secure server and will only be seen by the research team during the study and for 7 years after the study is complete. Your child care center will provide you and your child with an ID to use when you complete these surveys and when the child care center reports the assessment results to the UMKC research team. The signed copy of this consent form you will take home with you will have the ID number written on it. The copy of the consent form kept by UMKC will not have this ID number. This ID will be used at any time you complete a questionnaire for this study. This ID will be used to ensure data confidentiality and to protect against any potential risk of the disclosure of information stored on the secure UMKC password-protected server. You and your child's personal identifiable information will not be known by the UMKC research team. The questionnaires you complete will be identified by the UMKC research team only by the ID number you use when you complete a questionnaire. This ID number is provided to you by your child's child care center and will be written on the top of the signed copy you take home with you. The signed copy of this consent form retained by the UMKC research team will not include the ID number. If you complete a paper questionnaire, the files will be kept in a locked cabinet in the investigator's office and will be seen by the investigator or the UMKC research team during the study. These questionnaires will be kept for 7 years after the end of the study. If you or your child's teacher complete an assessment on paper, the files will be kept in a locked cabinet in the investigator's office and will be seen by the investigator or the UMKC research team during the study. These assessments will be kept for 7 years after the end of the study. If you're asked to complete an internet questionnaire or your child's teacher completes an assessment on the internet, the data will be stored electronically through a secure server and will only be seen by the research team during the study and for 7 years after the study is complete. The only persons who will have access to your research records are the study personnel, the institutional review board, and any other person, agency, or sponsor as required by law. This information from the study may be published in scientific journals or presented at scientific meetings, but the data will be reported as group or summarized data and your identity will be kept strictly confidential. What are the costs to you? There is no cost to you to be in this research study. What about compensation? You'll receive no compensation for your participation in this study. What should you do if you have a problem during this research study? Your well-being and your child's well-being is a concern of every member of the research team. If you have a problem as a direct result of being in the study, you should immediately contact one of the people listed at the beginning of this consent form. What about my rights to decline participation or withdraw from the study? You can choose to stop participating at any time without penalty or loss of any benefits to which you are entitled. However, if you decide to stop participating in the study, we encourage you to talk to the researcher first to make sure it is safe to do so. You can decide not to be in this research study, or you can stop being in this research study or withdraw at any time before, during, or after the research begins for any reason. Deciding not to be in this research study or deciding to withdraw will not affect your relationship with the researchers or with the University of Missouri, Kansas City. You or your child would not lose any benefits to which you are entitled. Whom do I call if I have questions or problems? You may ask any questions concerning this research and have those questions answered before agreeing to participate in or during the study. For study-related questions, please contact the researchers listed at the beginning of this form. For questions about your rights as a research participant or to discuss problems, concerns, or suggestions related to your participation in the research or to obtain information about research participants' rights, contact the UMKC Institutional Review Board IRB office. Phone 816-235-5927. Email umkcirb@umkc.edu. If you're ready to participate, please sign the form we share with you and return it to the UMKC table set up at your child center during drop-off and pickup. We will accept your form and assign an ID number to track your participation. Thank you for your help with this important work.